What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Coming up on today's show, Deshaun Watson opened up to the media today and addressed all of the injury rumors out there. So we're going to recap that. And then we're going to talk about a potential return for a quarterback, or maybe even two, that used to play for the Cleveland Browns, including Jacoby Brissett. Now, before we get into all that good stuff, I told you on yesterday's show that we were doing a sub battle with our Seahawks Today channel and Tyler Jones here at Chat Sports. And they have pulled away slightly so far this week. And Tyler Jones was talking a lot of shit about Cleveland Browns fans in the bullpen here at Chat Sports. So I said, Tyler, how about we get the camera out and you say it directly to the dog pound yourself? So roll the tape, Jack.
You know, the dog pound is one of the most fraudulent fan bases in the entire National Football League. You guys don't even like dogs. You're cat people, for crying out loud. Your quarterback should be in jail, okay? No one takes you seriously, and we're not taking you seriously this weekend either. So, F Petey, spam it in the chat. F the Browns report, F the Browns, and you're gonna lose! Ha ha ha!
Now that you see firsthand what I am working with and what sits just 10 feet away from me at work, we cannot let this work. We cannot let this happen. Help me take down Seahawks today. Tyler Jones, not to get too deep, is the guy from the Tim Robinson skit that eats all the good chips when the nachos come out. We all know that person. He's that person. I can't lose to that person. So let's take down Seahawks today and hit the sub button down below. Now, Deshaun Watson, he spoke to the media today, and my first impression was, wait a minute. All I've been getting for the last couple of days is the quarterback usually speaks on Wednesday. Deshaun Watson did not speak yesterday. Why is he speaking today if he's not even playing? Deshaun Watson clearly chose to speak to the media because he had some things he wanted to get off of his chest, right? I think players sometimes like to put up this wall that they themselves don't read into any of the storylines online and they don't see what's being said about them. Clearly, that's not entirely true because Deshaun Watson said, I'm seeing what people are saying out there about me, and he wants to squash this bug that Watson is healthy but doesn't want to play, or he's a trust fund baby of sorts, like Brady Quinn put it, who, by the way, went on ESPN Cleveland today to say Deshaun Watson should block out the noise. You're the noise. And that was the most asinine thing I'd seen in a long time. But let's kind of recap what we learned from him speaking to the media today. As Zach Jackson tweeted out, Deshaun Watson said, just rehabbing. Be back as soon as I possibly can. And then he was asked, did you rush it last week? He says, I don't know. Hope to play as soon as possible. Just have to go through the process again, get as strong as possible. I listened to every single clip I saw online about Deshaun Watson. The guy looked frustrated. The guy kind of came across as, you know what? I'm out here with a bad right shoulder as a quarterback, and I can't throw the football with enough velocity or zip on it to play in the NFL. And you people are online writing the most insane ideas as to why I'm not on the field, when the reality is, simply point blank, I'm injured. Why is that so crazy for some people to grasp, right? Matthew Stafford, I remember last year, had an elbow injury. He was on IR for the second half of the year. No one really questioned why. He's a righty quarterback. His right arm was injured. That's not very different for Deshaun Watson having a right shoulder injury, okay? Tony Grossi also tweeted this out saying, Deshaun Watson on speculation, he just doesn't want to play. Why wouldn't I want to play? I just worked my ass off for 2 years to get back to playing. This is what I've been doing since I was 6 years old. So why wouldn't I play? I agree. It just doesn't actually make sense other than some people just having nothing better to do than not talk about football in between the lines, but instead create these fantasy ideas as to why Deshaun Watson's not playing. Well, he got $230 million. Why would he ever play again? They're competitors. That's why. I mean, he can't, one, just take $230 million and then never show up again. Like, that contract would get ripped up. It's not winning the lottery like you get to literally get the money and run away. Once he gets the contract, it can be torn to shreds if he never plays again out of his own choice. Like, that's not how contracts work to begin with. So let's kind of get that out of the way here. But Daryl Ryder also added to this saga, as I like to say, saying, as for national pundits speculating Watson wants to leave the Browns. I had not seen that anywhere, by the way. I don't know what deep dark web some people were going into. But here's what Watson had to say. None of those national people know me. They don't talk to me. So why would anybody listen to any of that stuff? All that is speculation. So it ain't coming from me. Then all that shit is bullshit. And he's right. Deshaun Watson has not done a big GQ interview. He has not sat down with Adam Schefter or Tom Pelissero and done a big interview on a national stage. He speaks to the media when he has to, like 99% of the athletes do. So I don't buy into any idea of like someone from Yahoo Sports saying, per source, Watson might want to go. Not saying Yahoo said that, just take your random national pundit, and it's just complete made up tomfoolery because they have nothing better to write in the middle of October, which is sad. There's a lot of fun things to write about. The NFL season is underway. The trade deadline's around the corner. Talk about real stuff, not this. Hopefully this is the last kind of take I have to give on the entire Deshaun Watson injury episode. Watson is a quarterback, if you were not aware of that. He's a righty quarterback, to be specific. That's an important detail we're going to come back to later on, so stay tuned. He hurt his throwing shoulder, that right shoulder we just talked about. So I'm not surprised he is missing games. Now, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry definitely downplayed this injury when it first happened. Andrew Berry said it's a short-term thing. Kevin Stefanski said it's a short-term thing. And that was over a month ago. So I don't know if they just did not have a good idea as to what they were dealing with, if there was some sort of miscommunication between Watson, the staff, and the coaching. But clearly it was not a short-term thing. But it is very reasonable and understandable as to why Deshaun Watson is missing games right now. He hurt his throwing shoulder. He did not look like an NFL quarterback against the Colts in those 5 passes. He was throwing up ducks. He was not having the same velocity and zip on his passes. It did not look like someone who could drive down the field and play week after week. So, Watson, get better, get the rest you need, and we'll see you when your shoulder is really at least close to 100%. Now, as for some of those national pundits, I want you guys to see what Mike Florio had to say. And we'll continue to monitor things and generally to sniff around about whether the honeymoon has developed into a standoff that frankly leaves both sides with few good options, given that Watson is due to make $46 million in 2023 and 2024 and in 2025 with every penny of it fully guaranteed. Florio also added, and this is the real kicker, it's almost enough to make us wonder whether a surprise trade could happen before next Tuesday. At this point, however, who would take on that balance of that contract? This is absolutely batshit crazy. This is asinine. He hurt his throwing shoulder. Like, it'd be one thing if Deshaun Watson was out because his left pinky wasn't feeling 100% and he was milking it. But that's not the case here. He hurt his throwing shoulder. We all saw him play against the Colts. He did not look like a guy who could go out there and play 4 quarters of football. So why are we trying to come up with these crazy ideas that Deshaun Watson could get traded? Are you out of your damn mind, Mike? Like, I know Mike Florio does not live for actually talking about in-between-the-lines football, but he loves the gossip and the drama. He's like an NBA offseason lover. But come on, dude. No person other than yourself is even suggesting the idea that Deshaun Watson could get traded. That is absolutely asinine. So with all the conspiracy theories out there, I do want to get everyone's input on this. Do you believe any of it? Or maybe, just maybe, it's very simple. He's a righty thrower. His right shoulder's hurt. His job is to throw the football. It's a little bit difficult to do that when your shoulder is hurt. Can't we all agree? That seems to be like case closed, in my opinion. Yes, it's definitely a bit strange how the Browns coaching staff called it day-to-day a month ago, and clearly it wasn't day-to-day. But I'm not going to say here that Deshaun Watson is making up the injury. We saw the hit in the Titans game. We saw the hit in the Colts game. I am going to be a believer that, yes, he is hurt, and he's not putting on some incredible acting job and making all this up along the way. Unbelievable. All right, next up on the show, we are going to talk about Jacoby Brissett and another former Cleveland Browns quarterback that maybe they could be coming back to the land to hold down the fort until Watson is 100%, because personally, the Browns, have probably maxed out their luck with P.J. Walker, because he is not looking like a guy that can lead this team for another few weeks and get a few more wins. But here's what Mary Kay had to say on trading for Jacoby Brissett. The Browns could likely pry quarterback Jacoby Brissett away from the Commanders before Tuesday's trade deadline, and they should definitely try. A league source told Cleveland.com the Commanders are listening to trade offers on various players who are free agents this offseason, including possibly pass rushers Montez Sweat and Chase Young, and Brissett falls into that category. I have maintained a stance for the last 2-3 weeks now of the Browns should only be trading for a quarterback if they believe that Deshaun Watson is going to miss an extended period of time. But I'm here to say I'm going to change my tune. I'm going to change my take because this entire take has been predicated on the Browns have a better idea as to when Deshaun Watson will reasonably return. But clearly, they don't. If they did, he would not have played against the Colts. So the Browns coaching staff, the guys in Berea really calling the shots, they don't have a black and white answer as to when Deshaun Watson will be 100% and when he'll be able to return to the field. So because I was basing my take on they know when, and if they think he's going to be out long term, they'd put him on IR, but they haven't put him on IR, which means he's coming back soon, which means trading for Brissett for 1 to 2 weeks doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But because they don't really seem to have a great picture as to when that shoulder will be healed, he could be out for a few more weeks. And if that is the case, yeah, I would take Jacoby Brissett over PJ Walker in a heartbeat. Now, it is important to look at what draft picks the Browns have to offer. He's not going to go for a second, a third, maybe a fifth, right? Josh Dobbs went for a fifth. We are mid-season. He hasn't played a single snap, I think, at all behind Sam Howell. So maybe you could get him for a sixth-rounder. They have a pair of six after trading with the Ravens in the last year's draft and for a Texans trade as well. So maybe a six is good enough. I'm not interested in giving up a king's ransom for a guy who hasn't played at all this year. That would be highway robbery by the Washington Commanders. But Brissett last year, it kind of goes without saying, he did some great things for the Browns, right? 2,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Emotionally, he was the perfect quarterback for what this team and this fan base needed to kind of bridge the gap in between Baker and Deshaun Watson and everything that unfolded during that crazy 12-month cycle. He was able to come in there, hold down the fort, play some great ball for the Browns, and sort of settle the waters, if you will, off the shores of Lake Erie. So I'd love to see Jacoby Brissett come back if Watson's going to miss more time. And at this rate, it's not really clear when Watson will return, so this could be a fair gamble to make. Now, we have one more quarterback to talk about in just a second, but support for today's show coming in from BetUS. Our sportsbook partner has a great deal for the Dog Pound. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Enter promo code Browns125. When you do that, you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. Now, Myles Garrett is currently tied with Micah Parsons for the NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. So if you think Myles Garrett is going to walk away as the winner, then go to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. May I interest you in a guy named Joshua Dobbs, a grad of the greatest university in all the land, Tennessee. Because I was playing Sudoku because I couldn't fall asleep. I'm going through a Sudoku phase right now at like 12:30 a few nights ago, and it kind of hit me. Kyler Murray's coming back soon. Josh Dobbs is going to go to the bench. He's played pretty well for Arizona this year. Why not trade Arizona's fifth-round pick right back to them and get Josh Dobbs back in return? You know how the Grass Fairies always do these loans in soccer? I have no idea what a loan is. This would be our version of a loan, right? The Browns would just treat the Cardinals like their farm system. We're going to send Josh Dobbs over to you, get some experience, get some reps, right? Get some good playing time under your belt. And then we'll give your fifth-round pick right back to you. In exchange, we get a better quarterback. Like Josh Dobbs comes back with way more experience, way more field IQ, and he can help bridge the gap until Deshaun Watson is healthy. So if the Browns do want to make a move for a quarterback, and they want to go with someone who can step into their locker room, knows the playbook, doesn't need directions, doesn't need to know where the bathroom is, where the trainer's office is, Josh Dobbs this year has the Cardinals exceeding a lot of expectations despite the 1-6 record. He has not been the problem so far in the desert. So if they don't want to roll with Jacoby Brissett because they like what they've seen on tape from Dobbs this year, and he's actually been playing football this year, whereas Brissett's been on the bench, maybe that's a path the Browns explore. Maybe it's cheaper to get Josh Dobbs. So pick a quarterback for me. Josh Dobbs or Jacoby Brissett. I lean towards Brissett because we saw some great things from him last year. But if the Commanders are going to be buttholes and want a king's ransom for him because they know the Browns really want him, maybe the Cardinals go, yeah, just give us our 5th rounder back. It's a win-win, right? The Cardinals get good quarterback play from Josh Dobbs for 6-7 games, and the Browns get their quarterback back, and no one's the wiser. No one loses a draft pick or anything like that. So for that reason, kind of inclined to see what the offer would be like for Dobbs. But that's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter, by the way, if you enjoyed our content today. I'm always talking brownies over there at Matthew Petey.